Hello and welcome to another tier list video. This time we're going to be doing a tier list on the DCEU, aka the DC Extended Universe, which is the DC Cinematic Universe for the DC comic book movies. I got a bit of a stomach ache today. Not that that matters, but it feels like someone is juggling chainsaws in my lower intestine, as per usual. And that sucks. So I'm gonna try and make this quick. We'll see. This is probably gonna be a quicker video anyway because there's not as many films in the DCEU right now, but who knows? I am known to drone on. Also, it's also just a good video just to give me a break from the short film that I've been working tirelessly on for the past week. As I was rewatching my tier list for the Marvel films, I almost regret not doing them in release order, but for this one, I truly feel like it doesn't matter. Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, that is the full title, is the epitome of an average movie. Not good, not bad, strictly average. This is kind of one of those films that really runs the gamut. I've met people who really like it. I've met people who really hate it, but most people I talk to are always, typically somewhere in between, and that's where I am. It's just one of those films in the DCEU especially that is just forgettable. It's not the worst DCEU film by far, but it is definitely one of the most forgettable kind of films. It has a very in-your-face kind of style, very quirky, very Deadpool style. I think the director has come out and said that Deadpool did not inspire this film, but for me, I really do think that's I don't think that's true. I don't know. I mean, again, I could be completely wrong, but Deadpool has his handprints written all over this film. It really feels like that DC was really trying to do the whole Deadpool thing between narrating, and breaking the fourth wall and having this kind of quirky, rated R, dark humor style to it. Yeah, I feel like it was really trying to do that thing. The actual Team Birds of Prey are okay. I'm not a huge fan of the designs of the characters, like Huntress, for example. I did not like her design, and then at the end when she's supposed to get her more comic book accurate costume, it's not comic book accurate at all, and it's pretty bad. Black Canary uses her power literally one time in the entire film, and that's just sad. The biggest redemption for that movie was Ewan McGregor as Black Mask. I actually really liked Ewan McGregor as Black Mask. He stole the show, and it sucks that they killed him off because I would have loved to see his Black Mask meet like Ben Affleck's Batman, But the DCEU doesn't really care about continuity as much as like Marvel does, so they can pretty much, do anything, and I'm okay with that. I actually think that could be one of DC's strengths, is that they're not so focused on continuity and kind of do their own thing, and they're not scared to do their own thing, and that's what I really like about it. Hey. Sorry, my dog has a cone around her neck because she keeps scratching her eye, and she was just scratching her eye. You guys have probably not seen Paris in a while. Here's Paris! Anyway, overall, it's okay, but it's pretty forgettable. So I would probably put this at like a B-, but because a B- is not here, I'm just gonna put Birds of Prey at a C. I guess it would be weird though, because C is kind of like, because there's an S tier, does that mean C is technically D and then D is an F in tier lists? I don't know. Point is, C to me is just average. All right, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, I'm not a fan of this movie. Very disappointed when I watched this movie in theaters because this was supposed to be something that was happening for years. I mean, Batman v Superman was in development hell for years. I mean, so many people were attached to make a Batman v Superman movie at one point, and then finally Zack Snyder gave us his sequel to Man of Steel, which was Batman v Superman, and it's been a while since I've seen it, but I did not like the pacing. I still think Superman is a cardboard cutout of a character with no personality, no charisma, no anything. He just kind of drones on through the movie. He's really mopey, and I don't think Superman should be that way, but we'll dive into that later with other films. Batman was cool. He did break his whole no killing rule, which I know has caused some controversy. At this point, it's like I don't even care at this point if this version of Batman kills or not. I personally think it's better if his character doesn't just gratuitously kill people. I mean, and because you can look at other versions of Batman and be like, oh, but Tim Burton's Batman killed people and Christopher Nolan's Batman technically killed people in some way. It's like, I get that, but in most of those versions, especially the Christopher Nolan versions, maybe not the Tim Burton versions, but in the Christopher Nolan versions, he doesn't just gratuitously kill people. And yes, you can point out scenes, oh, he does it in this scene, blah, 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 blah. whatever, man. I'm sick of that whole argument. Point is, it's just like they made Batman almost sadistic and like he enjoys killing people. And that's not, I don't think that's how Batman should be. I understand that they were going for a very Frank Miller Batman and that he was more hardened, more older, more battle scarred and all that. Like, I get that, I do. It's the whole Dark Knight Returns situation. But yeah, overall, I was not a fan. You good, young blood? The actual fight between Batman and Superman I thought was a bit of a disappointment. It was very slow. Again, the pacing was off. I don't think they introduced Wonder Woman very well. The whole Doomsday thing, I thought his character design looked really bad, but I just thought they underutilized him. I felt like the movie was trying too hard to be too many things. It was trying to be a sequel to Man of Steel while also introducing Batman and Wonder Woman and trying to be a Batman vs Superman story and trying to be a Justice League prequel by cramming in all these references to the Justice League. Like the whole scene with the Flash, for example. If you don't know comic books or as much and you don't know that they're setting up Justice League, that scene where Flash just randomly appears with no introduction or anything is so confusing to people. Like, that makes no sense. Like, people, I know people who were just so confused. They're like, what was that and who was that guy? And if you're one of those people who are like, they should know that's the Flash, whatever. Most people are not like hugely into comics, and honestly, the movie, and even if they know the Flash, the movie presents it in a way that's so confusing. I'm a huge comic book fan. I remember I leaned over to my friend I was watching it with and I was just like, was that supposed to be the Flash? What was that? And it was a whole dream within a dream. It was trying to be a Justice League prequel. It was trying to be the death of Superman. It was trying to be too much things. Also, the miscasting of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, I think, was a horrible casting decision. Overall, I just think the whole storyline of Batman vs Superman is really bad. I remember I wrote a whole review on that movie that I still stand by with. Maybe I'll link that in the comments. It was on an old website that me and my friend used to run. Very old. It's like, I mean, at this point, it's like 6 years old, 6, 7 years old now, right? 2015? Yeah, like, if I can find it, I'll link it, but who knows? But yeah, overall, not a fan. So I might have to put Batman v Superman, honestly, in a D. So in the D section, I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Justice League, aka Joss Whedon's version of Justice League, I think is pretty bad. I have never seen kind of a bigger mess of a movie in terms of two directors completely with completely opposite visions clashing. This just shows how different these directors are from one another. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. Oh yeah, Joss Whedon does that Marvel kitty shit and you know, DC is that freaking like that adult superheroes, even though we have characters like Shazam, we're the adult superheroes. I'm sorry, I'm not making fun of DC by any means. I love DC, but this fan mentality that comes with it completely annoys me. I'm gonna tell you something that you guys might not like to hear. You can be a fan of both Marvel and DC, guys. I don't know if you know that, but you can do that. You can like one more than the other, but you can like them both. I'm sorry, it's just, I like DC. The DC fanboys, I think they're just so toxic. They're so toxic, especially the Snyder fanboys. I'm sorry, and I don't like toxicity. But yes, about the movie, the tone is all over the place. The mustache CGIing of the mouth is awkward. There's a lot of awkward moments. Joss Whedon, I feel like, was trying... Here's one thing I will give to Justice League, though. I feel like Joss Whedon was trying to get a Superman more closely related to who Superman is supposed to be, as opposed to who Zack Snyder made Superman, which is a decision I do not agree with. However, it clashed so much and it just did not come across very well. The story was all over the place. It's just such a mess of a movie. And it looks and feels cheap, even though it was insanely expensive, considering they basically made this film 3 separate times. The Justice League is supposed to give us that feeling like, holy crap, they're together. But I feel like because DC rushed to try and get to their Avengers, I feel like it's just, that impact was not there. So definitely a D. As a matter of fact, quick story. I saw this movie with a friend of mine in theaters, and I remember at the end of this movie, people clapped. And I remember, first thing, I turned over to my friend and I'm like, why are people clapping? And he's like, I have no idea, because we both did not like that movie. Okay, Wonder Woman. Patty Jenkins' first Wonder Woman movie. I really liked Wonder Woman. I really do. I love the dynamic between Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman. I loved seeing Themyscira. I really liked Wonder Woman because it was a self-contained movie / origin story about this character that should have come out before Justice League. You know, but it didn't, but it's fine because it takes place in World War I. It's a very self-contained movie with a beginning, middle, and an end, and it's not focused on setting things up. Which some of these movies have fallen victim to. Even Marvel movies have fallen victim to, you know, trying to cram too much stuff into one movie to try and set up the next thing as opposed to being their own sort of, you know, story here. I'm not comparing DC to Marvel. I'm just saying that this can happen with a lot of franchise movies where they try to fit so much into this one movie because they're setting up the next one. I feel like Wonder Woman really struck that balance very well. I loved the action. I thought it was great. I just love the cinematography too, and the chemistry between Chris Pine and Gal Gadot is the anchor of that movie. It is the heart of that movie, and it's really cool seeing it. A lot of people have trouble with some of the villains like Dr. Poison and Ares. I really liked them. A lot of people, it's weird how sometimes I hear people complain about the big CGI battle at the end of the movies or television shows when they're talking about superheroes, and I'm like, yeah, but it's a superhero show. It's like I want to see action in my superhero films. So when Ares was introduced, who Ares is like the Wonder Woman villain, or one of like the at least top 3 biggest Wonder Woman villains, it's like, yeah, I wanted to see that. I wanted to see a giant hulking Ares fight Wonder Woman, and that's what we got. And I absolutely loved Wonder Woman, truthfully. I'm gonna give Wonder Woman an S tier. I think Wonder Woman's great. I really like that movie. Suicide Squad is an interesting movie, meaning that when I first saw it, I actually kind of liked it. I really liked it. And then I've seen it many times since then. I don't know why I've seen this one so much, but I think I've seen it 3 extra times since its initial viewing in theaters for me. And every time I watched it, I liked it less and less and less. The writing of that movie, I think, is very poor. Nothing against David Ayer. I know he was kind of pressured and didn't have a lot of time to write it. I think he wrote it. I think he might have wrote it with someone else too, or whoever. But I also feel like this is another movie that was a lot of it was left on the cutting room floor. I think they had a trailer company take over the movie because the reception to the trailer was so positive, because it was more Guardians of the Galaxy-esque, and that's no secret. I'm not comparing Marvel and DC. That's no secret. That came out that they were basically trying to emulate the marketing of Guardians of the Galaxy. That's not even me speculating. I believe they came out and said that was the fact. And then they had that trailer company, I think it was called Trailer Park, edit the movie. And it comes across very much like this style over substance kind of movie, where I feel like David Ayer's original vision was meant to be very dark and much more serious, because the original Comic-Con trailer that was released for Suicide Squad was very dark and serious. Jared Leto's Joker, I feel like, is a huge low point of that movie. I feel like his performance was real bad. I understand that they were trying to do something different with the Joker, but they didn't commit to it enough. They kept saying that they wanted to make Joker more of a gangster type villain, you know, where he could actually sit down and have a conversation with someone, and he was more calculated and smart and less maniacal. But that didn't come across at all. When he had that conversation with the Monster T, who Common plays, he just like goes nuts and kills him for such a stupid reason. Also, one thing I noticed about this movie on my second or third viewing was 90% of that movie is just walking and talking. If you rewatch Suicide Squad, keep track how many times the movie cuts to just them walking down the street, like talking to each other. I do like some of the casting though. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn was great. Will Smith as Deadshot. I think even Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag, I think, is great. I think the whole cast honestly was casted very well. Even Jared Leto, like, I get it, like he didn't deliver a great performance, but like he is an Oscar-winning actor, and I do feel like he could have delivered a good, Joker performance. But overall, Suicide Squad is kind of a mess of a movie, in my opinion. I liked it when I first saw it, but after watching it a couple more times, I'm like, wow, this movie is kind of bad. Which I've had that experience with a couple other DCEU films. Yeah, I'm gonna give this one a D. Okay, Man of Steel. Okay, hold on. Let me, I gotta grab my knife to defend myself, okay? Because don't come after me when I say this. All right? I do not like Man of Steel at all. I literally just cut myself on this knife, by the way. Let me put this down before I kill myself. I am bleeding now. I said this in many other videos, and I'm gonna continue to say it. I do not like Man of Steel, and let me tell you why. Well, first of all, let me just say there are some good things about Man of Steel. I understand that they were trying to do something different with Superman. There's this common misconception that Superman is a Boy Scout and he's a boring character. I don't think that's true. Superman is actually my favorite DC character. I love Superman. The idea that superheroes cannot be idealistic, cannot be hopeful, cannot be optimistic, especially in today's day and age, is such a played out idea now. The whole evil Superman thing, or the dark Superman, or the brooding Superman, whatever you want to call it, motherfucker, is outdated now. It's played out, and I want to see an optimistic Superman. And I don't feel like Man of Steel portrayed Superman the way he should have been. If he started off the way he was in Man of Steel and then ended up being that more optimistic Superman, I think I would have liked the film more if he had that sort of character arc, but he really doesn't have that. I feel like people say that Superman's a boring character. I think he's the most boring in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman because he has almost no personality. He's so brooding. He's just depressed the entire time. And I'm like, that's not Superman. Zack Snyder is an objectivist. And if you don't know, an objectivist has very ideas about right and wrong that I personally do not agree with. So to have an objectivist Superman, I feel like is not a good thing, in my opinion. I feel like that's just not the Superman that I wanted to see. And maybe I'm being selfish when I say that. I am open to different interpretations of characters, and if he wanted to do a different interpretation of Superman, that's totally fine, but I feel like he was just still a very bland cardboard character with no personality. I didn't really get a chance to know who Clark Kent was in Man of Steel. And by the end of it, where Superman just stands idly by while millions, what am I talking about thousands of people die, it's just not what Superman would do. I feel like Man of Steel is still in the era of when people were trying to be the Dark Knight. We have to do these dark takes on superheroes. You know, we gotta make Superman dark. We have to make Spider-Man dark. Even with the Amazing Spider-Man 1, that was trying to be dark as well. And I don't feel like that's good. Also, to see Zod again was like, okay, that's cool, but I wish it was a villain that we haven't seen on the big screen before. It was awesome to see Superman finally fighting people and actually punch people and have like, with great and modern special effects. I personally almost think that the Smallville battle should have been the climax of the movie. Because I remember when I was watching this movie in theaters, I remember exactly what time it was too. It was when Superman started fighting that giant alien ship in the Indian Ocean that was trying to terraform the Earth. That was the moment in that movie where I was like, okay, I'm checked out of this now. Like, this has just become a bunch of noise. But overall, my idea of Superman and a lot of people's idea of Superman and what I personally think Jerry Siegel and Joel Shuster's idea was of Superman, I just feel like this movie didn't portray that. I'm gonna have to put Man of Steel at a D. I'm not a fan of that movie. That movie is very polarizing. A lot of people like to call Batman vs Superman polarizing. Batman vs Superman is not really that polarizing. Most people really don't like that movie. Man of Steel is very polarizing. People are very split down the middle on that film, and unfortunately I am on the side of I just do not like it. Also, I do like some of Zack Snyder's movies, but that did not feel like a Zack Snyder movie to me. It was shot like a J.J. Abrams movie. And then finally they got Larry Fong back for Batman vs Superman, which definitely looked aesthetically more like a Zack Snyder movie. So Shazam is great fun. David S. Sandberg is a very inspirational director to me. I really like this movie, how it's a much lighter tone. I like movies of all tones. I don't really care what it is, but I feel like with Shazam, I'm glad they didn't go with a darker route. I feel like Shazam really lends itself to that sort of comedic, you know, sensibility, and I really liked the characterization of Billy Batson. Although I will say, I feel like Billy Batson, the actor who plays him, I think his name is Ash or something, he plays him a little too cool and too suave. Like, I feel like the kid Billy is too different from, you know, from Zachary Levi's Billy, because Zachary Levi is almost like more of a kid than when Billy's a kid, if that makes sense. I just feel like the actors didn't match performances very well. But overall, that's just a very small nitpick, because overall, I really like just the family dynamic and the story of this movie with the Foster family and bringing in the Marvel family, the Captain Marvel, yeah, it's confusing, I know, but whatever. The Marvel family was very cool at the end. That was spoiled for me, unfortunately, by the toys, but it was just very cool seeing that. It has good action, good VFX. The cinematography is a little standard, but overall, the story gripped me enough to where I didn't really care about the cinematography. If the story is good enough, cinematography shouldn't matter too much, but it is always a good, you know, a good little plus. Shazam, I'm gonna put at an A, because I really do like that movie a lot. Aquaman is also a really fun time. James Wan and the way James Wan films his action scenes is just second to none, dude. James Wan has some of the best action scenes. They're so frenetic, and I just love that. And the camera is a character in the action scenes. I love that. I think James Wan did a great job with Aquaman. There are some problems with it. There's some moments of pretty bad acting.
Does she not love me? Are you saying they executed her? Because she had me?
Bruh. No disrespect to that young actor, you know, no disrespect to him, but that was just a little strange. Also, I feel like the soundtrack is very inconsistent in Aquaman. The music choice in Aquaman is it fluctuates so much to the point where it's like a synth score, and then it's your dramatic, sort of typical cinematic score, and then there's like random moments of Spanish influenced pop songs, and that's a little strange, but overall it's just a nitpick. I really love the action in this movie. The direction's really good. A lot of people like to think of like Aquaman was a joke for so long, where people are like, you're gonna make an Aquaman movie? I mean, Entourage even had this season-long running joke about making an Aquaman movie because it was such a joke. No, Aquaman is actually pretty cool, and comic book fans know. This is one of the most frustrating things about comic book fans. We know how cool characters are, and we have to convince people how cool characters are. It's like with Ant-Man 2 and Aquaman. It's like, as comic book fans, we're like, no, these are awesome characters. But you know, these laymen's who don't read comic books and don't understand, and who are being introduced for the first time in movies, we have to bring them through this whole spiel of like, and show them why they're cool. And they're like, oh yeah, you're right. It's like, yeah, they're cool, we're telling you. Aquaman's really fun, I'm gonna give that an A. All right, Justice League. Zack Snyder's Justice League. I should get my knife back out again to defend myself, but I don't want to cut myself again. Look, I like Zack Snyder's Justice League. I really do. However, I feel like I actually did a whole 2-hour review of this movie. I remember a couple videos ago where I said I had a 2-hour reaction to something. So I was reviewing someone else's review of Zack Snyder's Justice League, and it was 2 hours long. I still might release that, but I'm just procrastinating that because that's so much editing that I just don't want to do. I like Zack Snyder's Justice League. However, I feel like people are overpraising it a little bit. People are saying it's the best comic book movie of all time, and they're entitled to that opinion, and I respect that. But to me, personally, I do not feel that way. I feel like if we didn't have this movie with the benefit of hindsight, with the benefit of, oh, look what we got first, and this movie was released, I feel like people wouldn't be as receptive to the movie. But because we're playing the comparison game of Zack Snyder's Justice League versus Justice League, I feel like a lot of people are giving Zack Snyder's Justice League a little bit more of a pass than it deserves in certain cases. I feel like the movie is really good at certain things. First of all, it's way more coherent than what we previously got. The story makes sense. A lot of the stupid crap, actually pretty much all the stupid crap that was in Justice League was cut out of Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's a lot more coherent in tone, in story. Yes, it's 4 hours long, but it's coherent and it makes sense, and the action's better, the characters are better, and I love their dynamic. Their dynamic is so much better in Zack Snyder's Justice League than it was in Justice League. So much better. However, there are moments of very heavy self-indulgence on the part of Zack Snyder when it comes to his original vision of the Snyder Cut. I feel like there are moments of slow motion that do not need to be there. I do not need to see Aquaman in this 2 to 5 minute scene, especially when the movie is already 4 hours, of him walking to a dock in slow motion. I do not need to see these Scandinavian women sing this ballad tribute to Aquaman when he leaves. That was a very strange moment and very kind of self-indulgent, where even I kind of rolled my eyes when I watched it, and I was like, okay, Zack Snyder, like, calm down. Okay, this is not Othello. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know, but I'm not trying to be a dick, because I do like some of Zack Snyder's movies, and I'm so happy that he got to release his vision. But I feel like people are overpraising this movie just a little bit. Things like the Flash running back in time, I think, is a cool scene. It's much better than what they had him do in Justice League with that weird Russian family that was just chilling in a nuclear town for some reason. However, that scene is cool and all, but I feel like people saying that it's the best comic book scene of all time, I feel like it's a little strange, especially because he runs like he's swimming through the air, and that kind of really takes me out of it. And it also kind of annoyed me how he almost has to remind the audience why what he's about to do is important before he does it. Literally before he does, he's like, all right, Barry, you gotta break your one rule. You gotta do it right now. You gotta break your one rule, and you gotta run faster than the speed of light. You gotta do it. Did you get that, audience? Did you get why this is important? All right, let's go. I'm sorry, but that was just such a strange kind of moment. There are some strange moments in the movie, but overall, it's much better than the Justice League we got. I almost want to give this a B just because of the fandom and the toxicity that the fandom. Yes, I know that that's not everybody, and a lot of the fandom has donated to, you know, suicide prevention, and that's great, but there's also another portion of that fandom that you cannot ignore, where they tell people to go kill themselves if you don't like the movie, and they just do nothing but trash on you, or trash on Marvel, or trash on you for not liking some of the other DC movies. They trash on Warner Brothers and harass them with, you know, restore the Snyderverse now. So, but I'm gonna ignore that aspect of the fandom for this movie. Overall, I do feel like it's a good movie, but it does have its problems, and I feel like people aren't acknowledging those problems because they just want to blindly believe that it's a masterpiece. And if you think it's a masterpiece, that's fine, but I feel like even masterpieces have flaws. Even Citizen Kane, Casablanca, Gone with the Wind, all these like amazing movies have flaws. And I feel like we have to acknowledge them. I feel like that's an important thing to do when it comes to film critique and criticism. So I am gonna give Zack Snyder's Justice League an A though, because I did enjoy that movie. I think it's much better than what we got. All right, Wonder Woman 1984. I saw it twice actually. Wonder Woman 1984 is like, it's kind of forgettable. It's not as forgettable as something like Birds of Prey, you know? But I don't know, the story was just not as strong. I feel like the villains too, like Cheetah was okay, but we didn't get that much of Cheetah, and what we did get, it was like in the pitch black almost, where we couldn't even see Cheetah as Cheetah, and I feel like that was just to hide some of the bad VFX that was happening maybe. But I couldn't even tell if the VFX were bad because it was so dark when they fought. There's just some kind of goofy moments that happen in this movie, and some strange moments that I just don't really understand, like what they did with Steve Trevor's character. I understand they were trying to kind of harken back to the whole body switch genre of the 80s, but I feel like it was a little weird. I don't think you have this magical stone that can bring people back. So when you say, I want Steve Trevor back, I don't understand why the stone can't just bring him back, as opposed to bringing him back in someone else's body. That was kind of a weird choice. And there are some weird moments that happen throughout the film. Everyone recounting their wish because Wonder Woman can send her lasso of truth through the particles in television that everyone is watching, and it's just kind of strange. There's some good action scenes in it, but and I understand that it's much more lighthearted and much more colorful than, you know, Wonder Woman, the first one. It's because this takes place in the 80s. I'm also getting tired of the whole 80s trend. I know that's extremely hypocritical of me, considering my whole channel branding is 80s and takes inspiration from the 80s. I know that's very hypocritical of me to say, but I feel like we're a little over it now. I do like this movie, but overall it is forgettable. I feel like people were a little too hard on it when it came out. People were acting like this is the worst fucking movie ever made. I don't think that's the truth. It's okay, but it's not like great. There's a part of me that kind of wants to give it a B-, or like a B maybe, but I'm gonna have to put it in C. It's a little average, wasn't great, wasn't bad, just sort of in the middle. All right, guys, that's my tier list. Just a little recap. S, the only film in S tier is Wonder Woman. Hopefully we can add more S tier movies as the DCEU goes forward. A, we got Shazam, Aquaman, Zack Snyder's Justice League, nothing in B. C, we have Birds of Prey and the fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, Wonder Woman 1984, and then in D we have Batman v Superman, Justice League, Suicide Squad, and Man of Steel. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Did you like this list? Did you hate my list? Did you disagree or agree with it? How would you rank these films? Put it in the comments below. That's gonna be it for me, guys. I'm going to go somewhere else. I freaking cut myself. Anyway, see you guys later. Bye-bye.